How's it going, everyone? It's Brandon from the Signals of Intuition and Power Metal Point. On today's Signal Samples, we have a story from Paul Laine, who was the second singer in Danger Danger and is currently the singer in the Defiants, featuring most members from Danger Danger. His first solo album, Stick It In Your Ear, also had a couple small hits in Canada, but Paul also did backing vocals with Bruce Fairbairn, who was a very well-known producer for hard rock in the late 80s and early 90s. Bruce worked with everyone from Bon Jovi to Kiss, Aerosmith, and many other bands, and on several of those albums, Paul was able to go in and sing backing vocals. Paul ended up singing backing on Poison and also the Scorpions, and today's story is going to be about Paul's initial impression of first meeting the Scorpions on their Face the Heat album.
Obviously, after I started working with Bruce Fairbairn, I shouldn't say obviously, but after I started working with Bruce liked, how I stack background vocals, and, I kind of had an ability to do that and had an ear for harmonies and stuff. So he invited me to start singing on all the records that he produced when I was in town. So I got the Poison Flesh and Blood record, and then he offered me the Scorpions record after that, which I was psyched. Like, no disrespect to Poison, I was not excited to sing on that record. I had no idea what it was. Obviously, it became a giant album, and to this day, I'm very proud to have sung on the record. But I was like a musical snob when I was in my early 20s. So when I got a call, I got the call to do the Poison record, I was like, oh. But when I got a call to do the Scorpions record, I was so nervous I wanted to throw up. Like, honestly, because they were heroes of mine. I'm like, I'm going to get to sing with Klaus? Are you kidding me? So yeah, I was invited down to work on the Scorpions record. And again, how it worked back in those days is Bruce would say, I want you to come in and hang out for a couple weeks before we cut the background vocals. I want you to meet the guys, because some of them are going to be singing on the record with you. So that was it. I show up day one, and Fairbairn's not there, but Erwin Musper, who's the same guy who was the engineer on my record, he's there, and he's from Holland, and he speaks German. And so everybody's speaking German because the engineer is speaking German, and I show up, and everybody starts speaking English because they have good manners, and I'm in the room. So I meet everybody, and Matthias is sitting there in the studio, and Erwin looks at me, and he goes, things are kind of tense today. And I go, should I leave? And he goes, no, just hang on. We're just having a problem with the guitars. So I go, well, what seems to be the problem? He goes, well, Matthias thinks that there's something wrong with the hydro inside Little Mountain, something wrong with the power. And I go, all right. So I walk out into the live room, and he's holding this one note, right, until it dies out. And he's like, see, there's no sustain. The notes will not hold. There's a problem with the hydro. So all the engineers are running around. Now, mind you, he's got a giant rig, right? Like 4 Marshalls, some Wizard heads, some other things. So they're like, let's go move it to a different room in the building. So they take this thing, 20 minutes later, it's all set up. Now we're in, like, the kitchen of the studio. Boo! I am telling you, there is a problem with the hydro. There's no sustain. So they set it up one more time. Look at this over here is not even on the same sub-panel. They move it into the very front entrance of the recording studio, like where all the people come in, where the reception is, 4 Marshall cabinets, Wizard heads, turned up to like 11. Boo! And he's got that Explorer guitar, and Brandon, I shit you not, he picks it up and he throws it across the room. It's clang! And he goes, fine, there'll be no slow notes on the album. And he walks out the front door. Right? And so everyone's standing there looking at each other going, all right. And Erwin walks up to me and he goes, listen, he goes, Bruce will be back tomorrow. They're scared of Bruce. None of this crap will happen. So I go, all right, and I leave the studio. This is my first day. I am terrified. I am so terrified to go back to this record. Like, what have I got myself into? I'm going to have people screaming and yelling at me and throwing shit at me. Anyways, like Erwin said, I showed up the next day. They were as good as schoolboys the rest of the time. And actually, to Matthias' credit, I never saw him freak out. ever again. Super wonderful individual, and I guess I had put my fears at rest. But I will never forget that story for as long as I live, because it just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover, and everybody has a bad day. But it was a great Spinal Tap moment.
That's just unbelievable. I mean, it kind of kills me as a guitar player, too, to just be like, are you sure it's the power? Are you sure it's not your pickups, your this, your that, like the string? Right. Like, there's a million factors, but let's go after the power. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. And you know what? The thing was, is that I asked Erwin a few days later, I go, was it the power? Was there? He said, no, everything's just the same. It's just, kind of in his head that day. I said, all right. So what are you going to do? I guess he was having a bad day and he wasn't hearing it like he normally heard it. And don't ask me. I don't know. Just a funny moment. And, Spinal Tap does happen in every band. You and I probably have similar stories of different things at bad gigs that have happened. And, you have your own bad days.